everybody. My name is Kim Hargrave and I'm the Education Director here at the Denison Pequotsepos Nature Center. And we're going to talk all about backyard bird feeding today. And we're going to start by talking about some of the different types of bird seed that you can use. So right on these plates I've got some of my favorite types of bird seed. And if you start right down here at this end, you're going to see these tiny little black seeds. These are called Niger seeds or thistle seeds. And these are a favorite of our different finch species. So things like goldfinch, purple finch, in the wintertime pine siskins will eat this, and our house finch all like thistle seeds. Now the one catch with thistle seeds is you have to have a special kind of feeder because because the seeds are so small, they can't go into a regular type of feeder. They would all end up dropping out. So what we end up using is this actual feeder right here. And you can see this finer mesh on it allows for the thistle seeds to get pulled out by birds that have these little narrow beaks right here. Alrighty.
So basically they have to use their beaks kind of like tweezers to be able to pull those out.
That's right. And you might have noticed me flinch a little bit as our friend Rosie was flying overhead. Rosie's one of our ambassador birds here at the Nature Center, and she's fully flighted. And so we like to give her a chance to fly around the classroom. And she's very interested in today's topic of bird feeding.
So we'll see what her favorite is, how she's sure to make another appearance for us.
All right. This next seed that I want to show you is sunflower hearts. So we're used to seeing sunflowers that look like this, or bigger ones that have white stripes on it. And basically sunflower hearts are just sunflowers without the shells on them. And this is actually a really nice way to feed your birds if you don't want very much mess on the ground. Because what the birds do is they come, they take the sunflower, they take it out of the shell, they leave the shell on the ground, and eat the heart anyway. So sunflower hearts are a wonderful thing to buy for your birds if you don't want the mess. The only catch is they tend to be a little bit more expensive. Alrighty, the next seed that I want to talk about is your mixed seeds. So there's all different types of mixed seeds. When you look at this one, you can see the black oil sunflower in it. And you can also see these smaller seeds. You can see these little white ones right here. These are called millet. And then you see these ones that are a little bit reddish and brown, and they're called Milo. Now the catch with mixed seed tends to be a little less expensive than your sunflower seed, but the birds don't all like all the seeds that sometimes get put in there. And so what happens is, well, this little white millet gets eaten by a lot.
Rosie is making her way through and has selected her favorite, or at least what she was favoring earlier, which is the sunflower hulk.
That's right. So, well, a lot of birds like the millet right here, not as many like the Milo right over here. And so you want to make sure that when you're looking at your mixed seeds, right on the back of the bag, it tells you percentages of what kinds of seeds are in there. And you want to look for ones that have less Milo and more things like millet and sunflower seeds in them.
And now, what might end up eating the millet?
So the millet tends to be eaten, although Rosie's not demonstrating that today, it tends to be eaten by things like doves and pigeons. All right, so that is
she's
some
going
of
after it now.
Foods. Black oil sunflower, though, if you're going to use one kind of bird seed, I would use black oil sunflower because pretty much every bird likes that. From our goldfinches to our cardinals to our nuthatches to our woodpeckers to our chickadees, they all go for black oil sunflower seed. So if you only want to buy one kind of seed, you want to buy it in a big bag, buy that one right there.
Now, and you also pointed out that there's different feeders that we have on the table.
Yes, that's right.
Is there anything in particular that's best for the black oil?
So what I like for black oil sunflowers is you can use any type of feeder for it, which is really nice. I like to use tube feeders. I just find them easy to use. But when you buy a tube feeder, you want to make sure you buy one that has an extra metal ring around each hole and a nice perch on it. And the reason why, if you can splurge a little bit more for a metal ring, is that sometimes squirrels can be a little troublesome and they'll actually gnaw these holes, and it'll be, they'll ruin your bird feeder for you.
So the metal is much more durable,
Yeah.
long lasting, so more upfront in terms of an investment, but something that will last for years to come,
That's
hopefully.
right. The other thing that you want to look at with your tube feeders is one where the bottom can unscrew. And the reason why is if you don't, you can see how the dirt starts to build up in the bottom here. And it takes a little bit of effort to wash the feeders if you can't unscrew the bottom. And you want to make sure you keep your bird feeders clean, because otherwise bacteria and other infections can travel from bird to bird, and you want to make sure that your feeders are clean that way. All right, you might have noticed I've got some peanuts there on the table as well. Believe it or not, peanuts are not just for squirrels. Birds like blue jays love them, but even a few of our smaller birds like chickadees and nuthatches will also eat peanuts in the shell. All right, a couple other interesting things over here. Oh, something that's very interesting is a little spider right there.
Oh yes, we have a little friend that also wanted to hang out for our Facebook Live.
All right, but in this container right here, we actually have mealworms. So there's a whole group of birds that hang out here for the winter time, like robins and bluebirds, who don't eat any of these seeds that we have right here, but they love to eat mealworms. And that's because it mimics what they find out in the wild. So you can buy dried mealworms. They're a little bit easier to store than live mealworms that can escape on you. And if you put them out in a tray, the birds will come and they will eat these dried mealworms for you. The other thing you might be seeing right over here is our suet feeders. And you can buy suet cakes just like this, and woodpeckers, nuthatches, tufted titmice, and bluebirds really enjoy these different types of suet feeders right here. The other thing that you can do is you can go to the butcher shop at your grocery store and you can actually buy suet, which is the fat from the beef, and put that out in the wintertime. Unfortunately, in the summertime, you can't do that because it'll melt and kind of get gross. But in the wintertime, it's great and it's a wonderful source of energy, especially for bluebirds and woodpeckers. All right.
Now, Kim, there's a couple of examples that you have on the table that Rosie is helping to guard for you, of some local plant species that people can grow in their landscapes at home so that there's additions, or maybe you don't have to use a feeder at all.
That's right. So if you actually put lots of different types of plant species out in your yard, especially native ones, that will attract birds as well. And so I have a couple right here that I just wanted to point out that I grabbed really quickly around the Nature Center this morning. And this first one is the dogwood right here. And this is the native flowering dogwood that we have. And you can see when it gets its berries, all right, it has all these individual berries. These are the perfect size for birds to eat. And the birds will eat them, and it's actually helping out the plant as well because the seed is inside the berry. And then when the bird goes to the bathroom, the seed gets deposited in a new place. So flowering dogwoods are wonderful. You want to make sure, though, that you are buying our native flowering dogwoods. You don't want to buy some of the other dogwoods that are on the market that are mostly from Asia, and they're called Kusa dogwoods. And the reason why is their berries are much larger, and so they're not as good for our birds to eat. So make sure you get the native dogwoods here. The other one that I have right here, which I really love, this is called winterberry. And so winterberry is a member of the holly family, but it's deciduous. So all its leaves are going to fall off, but the berries stay on, and they're what we consider a winter persistent berry, which means the birds don't eat them right away. They won't eat them until they've frozen and thawed several times. And so this provides a really important food source for birds in January and February. The one catch with these hollies is that you do have to have a male and a female plant, and only the girls are going to get the berries. So you need to have at least one male, and then you can have several female plants around with the berries.
And something for people to keep in mind if you have little ones at home is those are poisonous berries.
They
so
are.
Make sure that your kids are well informed and to not eat them.
That's right. And just because the birds eat them, that does not mean you and I can. All right. One other plant that I really like is crab apples right here. And this is a flowering crab apple that's absolutely gorgeous here in the spring. And right now it's a lot of fun too. And it gets loaded with these crab apples every year. And this is a great food source for robins and cedar waxwings. Everybody who works here at the Nature Center, starting about right now, through the month of October, every day that we come into work, we take a look at our giant crab apple tree, and one day when we come in, there's just going to be a whole flock of robins in there, and usually a few cedar waxwings mixed in as well.
So they get to enjoy nature's bounty, and it's a great deal of fun for us as well.
That's right.
And that is that crabapple tree.
Yep. Now another thing that you can do for some native plants are just keeping some of the ones that are probably naturally growing around the edge of your yard anyway, and maybe, hopefully, you've planted some extra ones yourselves. And the reason why we want these flowers right here is that they all turn to seed that our native birds can eat. So we've got Joe Pyeweeds right here, we've got goldenrods, and we have asters. Once these plants are pollinated, they go to seed, and the plants stay upright. They're usually between, depending on the species, between 3 and 5 feet high, and birds like finches will come and they'll actually eat these seeds. So this is a natural food source for them for the entire winter.
Again, so once those start to turn brown, don't deadhead them. That's when the
right.
birds get to enjoy.
Don't cut them down or anything like that. Leave them up because the birds will eat on them all winter long. The other thing that happens is the wind blows those seeds around, and that's how you get to spread your goldenrods and asters and all of those things. One other really important thing that I just wanted to point out was this, was all of the leaf litter. So the leaves are falling down right now, and if you can avoid raking parts of your yard, you're gonna find tons and tons of birds in those spots. Some of my favorite, like the rufous-sided towhee and the juncos, come to that leaf littered area and they'll scratch around looking for small bugs. So that spider we saw earlier probably came from the leaf litter that I just collected this morning. And those birds go into that and they look for invertebrates to eat. And so again, you'll be increasing the diversity of birds in your yard if you can leave some of that leaf litter up. So lots of great different things that you can do to help attract birds to your yard. All of these fruit feeders here are great examples of ways that you can feed the birds. So this one right here, can work for black oil sunflower, it can work for Niger seed, and also there's lots of other varieties of seeds that you can buy out on the market. Cassandra was telling me she uses a finch mix that she puts in here, and the finches like it, but so do other birds coming to her feeder for it.
Titmice, chickadees, some others have really been enjoying that. So again, there's different varieties that you can have at your house. It's important also to pay attention to what kind of habitat are around you and to what birds you have, because if there's different birds that you're seeing, you can cater to them with the different types of bird seeds that you put out.
That's right. And just a feeder like this, which is like a platform feeder, makes it easier for larger birds to actually be able to perch and then get food. And then this one's kind of fun because it has the suet areas for suet cakes on either side. So that's a really nice one.
And it's nice and sturdy and metal. If anyone happens to live in a windy area like I do, that is one of our primary bird feeders because, again, we can use the different types of food on the inside, and it's heavy enough that in those windstorms it stays pretty steady.
And that's the same thing with this one right here. It has actually a suet, not a suet, but like a bird cake in the middle. And it's really heavy so that it won't get knocked down in the wind. And for people around here, we had quite the windstorm last night, so that is on all of our minds. So lots of different things that you can do to help feed the birds in your yard this winter.
All right, so hopefully everyone learned something new. Until our next video, stay nature centered, and we will see you all soon.